question, where is God, where is not God? We said God is everywhere and nowhere. And we said, where do you actually see God? Wherever you call his name. And we said that God runs the world with something called Ashgaha Pratit, okay? Divine supervision. And Ashgaha Klari, divine supervision. And I told you, when I get to principle number 10, which most of you will already be married and kids, I'm joking, right? I actually finished this in 6 months. I'm pretty good, 4 to 6 months. I think it's pretty good, yeah? You should all be staying here 6 months anyways. Do you think you're going to get your Judaism, firm? What do you think, Ilana? Great, right? Look, calculate. If you're here for 6 months, you might get to come to my house for Shabbat 2 times. I think that is really good, unless I really like you. And you're not vegan or gluten-free? I'm joking. Okay. If you're vegan or gluten-free, I will only take you if I really like you. You understand? If you're vegan or gluten-free and I don't really like you, I'm not going to make this effort. I am joking. I love all of my fellow Jews and love your neighbor like yourself. Even when they don't want to eat your food, you don't understand. We Sephardi people, if you don't eat my food, it's like I gave you my heart. And you ripped it away. You understand? When I married my husband, he was allergic to fish. And I said, I'm not going to cook fish. Do you understand that? That's half of the menu. What am I going to do? So he said, it's okay, it's just fish. I said, no. So I made fish, and Yeshai is I told you I'm allergic. I'm look, you're going to taste it. If you taste it and you don't die, it's all good. It means you're not allergic. He tasted it, he didn't die. So now he eats fish all of the time. He keeps on asking me when am I going to make it for him gefilte fish. So I keep on telling him, look, it was gefilte fish that had you almost dying. Right? It was party fish that saved you. Why would you ever want to eat gefilte fish again? Okay, so we don't eat gefilte fish in my house. The point is, right? So what did we say? The world is run through divine supervision. Now I told you that at the same time, there is this things that our rabbis say that totally contradict each other. From one side, what do we say? For every single blade of grass in the world, there's an angel that tells it to eat, grow. Which means God is not directly involved with the grass. But then Hasidut says, every blade of grass that falls or every leaf that falls because God wants it to fall. So does God want it to fall? Does God not want it to fall? Now there's this huge idea in Judaism, whether we believe that everything happens by God or there's something called casualty, right? And again, when we get to principle number 10, I'll explain this again in a much deeper sense. But let me just tell you the main idea. The Rambam says, there is divine supervision and there is casualty. Why does it depend? Listen to this. It says divine supervision depends. There is general divine supervision, which means God look above it like a manager, but everyone has their, semi-manager, sub-manager, whatever you call it, running it, right? And then there is individual supervision. Only Jewish people merit individual supervision, but not all of us. What does the Rambam says? Individual supervision depends on your relationship with God, listen to this, which depends 100% on your level of knowledge of God. Which means, according to Rambam, someone that doesn't know God or that has no relationship with God does not get individual supervision, and therefore, because he's not being supervised, he gives his life to casualty. What does it mean? Huge, right? It means like this. Let's say I am driving 80 whatever miles per hour, okay? That's quick. And I crash, okay? According to rules of nature, right? The way that I crashed should have been some dead people. Okay? Neba, chas v'shalom, whatever you want to add in there, your Ashkenazi words, okay. The point is, right? Now, according to rules of nature, something should have happened. I know someone, firsthand, she was driving her van with her 6 children on the car, and the brake did not work. And you know how in Israel there's parsa every 5 minutes? You have a circle, and in the circle you have to let go. You know that every single person that ever makes Aliyah and takes their driving test fails the first time? Except for me, I passed it the first time. But every other person I know failed at least 5. The point is, so one of the reasons why everyone fails is because no one respects the parsa. GPS are stupid. Take the 3rd exit. What is that? Take the 3rd. What is that? I don't even understand what that means. Okay, fine. The point is, so this lady was driving. Firsthand, she told this to me. Her brake did not work. She was in a neighborhood that there was parsa after parsa. Baruch Hashem, every time she went into a parsa, she made it. But at one point, she didn't make it, and her car just speed up because it's a whole curve. The car did 360, in the air, like Mission Impossible business, Now, according to rules of nature, there's lots of gas that moved in that car, should have exploded. This is like Jerry Maguire, what's his name? Tom Cruise business. Like, this is Mission Impossible. None of the kids were practically hurt. Everyone survived intact. There was one kid that had his lungs perforated, whatever you want to call it. I know it's like, wow. And the doctors, when she got to a hospital, told her, this is actually not an injury because the lung recreates its tissue or whatever. Now, according to rules of nature, this should have never happened, okay? According to rules of nature, kaput, okay? By the way, this is not the first story I know about this. I know tons of stories about this. What is the difference? Being that she has a relationship with God, God is directly involved in her life. And therefore, what did we say in principle number 1? God creates rules, God breaks rules because he made them. There's actually no rules. A car could fly 360 degrees 50 million times and nothing happens, right? It lands, an amazing stunt. But now if you don't believe in God, now let me ask you a question. If a person doesn't believe in God and he drives and he's in the middle of this crash, is his ultimate thought obviously okay, something horrible is going to happen? Of course it would. If you see this crash and you don't believe in God, you have no relationship with God, you would be like, oh my God, this is such a miracle if it didn't happen. And therefore, you know what happens? Your life is run in a natural way. Casualty, because you don't believe in God. But now, it is not that God is not involved in your life, but as I always tell you, God will never do something that action will force you to believe in him. You understand? Now, if I believe in God, and I really believe in God, even if a car crash like this happens to me, now, obviously, I'm going to be crazy grateful, and in a sense, I'm going to call it a miracle, but I don't think that's like, wow, look, obviously, God could do this. You understand? I'm still calling it a miracle, but for me, it's just God could do it anyways, and I'm 100% grateful, but I'm not like, oh, God exists. No, I know God exists. He could do it. But if I don't believe in God and I see this, it could be used as God forcing me to believe in him. And God doesn't do this, right? Because then you would have no free will. Usually, he doesn't do this. So what happens? When you don't believe in God, you give your hand to casualty. Why? Because you only believe in God when God makes himself apparent, and therefore, God generally does not make himself apparent, and he runs this world through nature, through casualty. Now, what changed in any instant? The only thing that changed was your awareness of God, and your awareness of God was that which created the result. You hear this? Same scenario. But in one of them, I was aware of God, and therefore, I allowed God to involve himself. But in one of them, I do not believe in God, and therefore, I did not allow God to be involved. But that's pretty much what happens in all of your life. And therefore, it is so important to understand this. Where is God? Wherever you want him in. Why is it so important to want God? Because when God is in, the world is ruled by his rules and not by anyone else's rules. But when God is not in, the world is ruled by the rules that God made. Now, anyways, they were made by God, but they keep a constant pattern. Now, it is not that God doesn't want to help me out or any of these things. But the point is, as I told you, if I have money in the bank, but I don't know I have money in the bank, I don't have money in the bank. If I live a life in which I don't see God, then obviously, God is sort of not going to make himself be seen, right? It's not because God doesn't want me to believe in him, but it depends on you. If you don't think God exists, then you believe in casualty. And what happens is you make this casualty happen. You understand? Right? I went to a shiur yesterday by Rabbanit Yemima Mizrahi. Okay, don't practice this at home. But she was actually giving this whole class, and she said this one idea. She said that there's a famous Gemara that says, if you want to know if you're going to be alive this year, what should you do? Don't practice this at home, okay? It says like this. You should light a candle every day of the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Okay? Ask Katie. She was in the shiur too. And she says, if the candle is completely consumed, it means you're going to live. If the candle is not completely consumed, it means you're going to die. So people go, they do this, and then what happens? But then the Gemara says, but don't do this, because maybe you're going to light your light. You're going to go to a kitchen, and then a wind is going to come from the window, and it's going to turn off the candle, right? And what are you going to think? I'm going to be dead, because there's no candle. But you didn't know that it was really the wind. You understand? Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, but it could be God send the wind. Obviously, God sends the wind. But you know what the Gemara finishes? It says, you know who gave life or who didn't give life? What you thought the candle meant is what made it for you. You hear this? When you thought, oh, I'm going to live, oh, I'm going to live. When you think, oh, the candle meant I'm going to die, you interpreted it that way. But really, the candle wasn't trying to tell you anything. Your thought on the candle is what made it happen. And you're probably going to think, oh, the candle is not because, because you understand? Now, if God turned off the candle or not, that's not your problem. But you're thinking, that's it. You understand? Because you don't know really what's going on. But that's exactly how we live all of our lives. Oh, this is what happened. Because you're thinking, oh, I'm limited by this. This is going on. You understand? That's what we said, right? You're limiting yourself to the rules of the world. No, if I eat to 8, I'm going to gain weight tomorrow. I told you last time, right? Why do skinny people never gain weight? What did I say? Who was here? We use Ellie as an example. You know why? I mean, you're all skinny, so don't get offended. But Ellie eats lots of chocolate, so she's a good example. Do you like chocolate too? Because then I'll use you. Fine. Ellie. Okay? But we said, why do skinny people never gain weight? Because they eat chocolate and then they don't go weigh themselves tomorrow. You know what I did today? The first thing I woke up, I went to weigh myself because I ate a lot on Shabbat, and yesterday I went to a class, so I didn't go to a gym. So I knew I would be fatter. And guess what I was? 3 kilos in one day. Is that even normal? I'm retaining liquid. Okay? But you understand? But now, if you're skinny, you're not going to go into a scale. You're just like, I'm going to party, my chocolate. Any one of you scales yourself every day? Of course not. Life is good when you're on the skinny side. You understand? Why change? My thoughts are what makes this thing happen, because I am saying, oh, wait, there's no God. I am run by the rules of nature. According to the rules of nature, if I ate alone on Shabbat and didn't exercise, I should be fatter. This is the way it works. You understand? But not really. God could make it that you're, again, the same thing we've been saying. God could make it you eat all day and don't gain weight. But that's Irat Shemaim. How much of God do you see in your life? Does God need to make himself apparent? Because if he does, then you're not going to get any divine assistance. Okay? Because divine assistance is totally directly proportional to your knowledge of God. And therefore, again, when someone doesn't know God, God is as if not in his life. There's just casualties. Now, what changed? How could you say God is not? God is everywhere. This was principle number 2, right? God has no divisions. There's just one. So how could you say God was always there? Oh, you didn't see him. And therefore, because you didn't see him, you didn't act there or believe or as if he was there. And therefore, you totally blocked himself revealing from your life. You heard how this works? This is how this works. You cannot say God is not in my life, because you cannot say God is somewhere and it is not somewhere. But because you think God is not in your life, you don't allow him to show himself. And because you don't allow him to show himself, then I have money in the bank, and I don't know I have money in the bank. And at the end of the day, you wonder, why are these things going on? I'll tell you why are these things going on. It's easy. Because you don't allow for any other things to go on anyways. When you don't allow for anything else, that's not this. That was Bilam. Again, Bilam could have just paid attention. That's all your entire life. You know what changed in Bilam's life? He did not pay attention. This is how we all live our lives. We keep on going. We never stop and think for 1 second what is going on. And therefore, really, at any moment in life, anything in our lives could change. But because we didn't stop and pay attention, then it did not change.